Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we honor and celebrate and praise those who are truly making significant contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful to be with you today. We want to thank Wilkes Communications and River Street Productions, 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. My featured guest today is Ms. Laura Brooks. She's a career educator. She's a native of Wilkes County, went to Wilkes Central High School. She's a Wilkes County Teacher of the Year, and she's significantly involved with the youth at North Wilkesboro United Methodist Church. And what an honor it is to have her. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
What an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to be here.
Talk about that calling to teach first.
It's a calling that I tried to avoid, but I could not. I was the little girl who asked for Santa Claus to bring me a whiteboard for my bedroom so that I could teach school to my make-believe students in my bedroom every day. And I would come home from my own school and try to be just like my teachers and reteach the lessons they had taught me. And I would teach them to make-believe children in my bedroom using the whiteboard and using some of my mom's stuff from her classroom. I would try to be just like all the teachers that were around me. And at first, I was just having fun. I never saw it as something I was going to do my whole life. But you can't ignore a calling when you are made to be a teacher. You know it in your heart, and you can't avoid it. And you've got to go into a profession that God has called you to do and that you're good at, and students need you to help them. And so that's why I went into teaching.
And the values of children, you said they just don't want to disappoint me. Talk about that a minute.
Well, I think that I love my students so much at Wilkes Central. They're all different and unique, and every day they come in with new things to tell me and new things going on in their lives. And I love them so much, and I'm interested in them, not in just the math that we're doing in the math classroom, but what all they're doing in their sports games or at their chorus concerts or what's going on with their siblings or at home. And I love them so much that they want to do well and they want to achieve the high standards that I set for them in the classroom.
Ms. Laura Brooks, you're the Wilkes County Teacher of the Year. Share that emotion or that euphoria, if you will, when the announcement came at the Stone Center.
I was very surprised. I was there to eat my nice dinner and was really caught off guard and humbled by it. And the more I think about it and the more it is setting in that I really am the Teacher of the Year, I'm just happy to be the face that represents all of the hardworking teachers in Wilkes County. We have so many wonderful teachers on either side of me on my hallway at Wilkes Central. We have wonderful teachers at all of our elementary and middle schools and high schools and at the early college. And the fact that I'm the one face that can represent all of these teachers this year, it is very rewarding and humbling and exciting and a wonderful opportunity for me.
And you're third generation. How about that'd be a great opportunity for us to tell about your family.
I would say that no one is more proud than my grandfather. For those people who know him, he is Dr. Conrad Shaw, and he started out as a teacher in this county and quickly became the principal of the old North Wilkesboro Elementary School where Benton Hall now is. And he was the principal there, so many people have had him as a principal. And then he went on to be vice president of Wilkes Community College. So he definitely values education and educators and wants the best for the students of Wilkes County and in our community. And his wife, my grandmother, actually taught at Wilkes Central. She was the business teacher there. So many people will know her from, she's the one that taught them how to type. And that is a skill that we all need today. And then my mom was an elementary teacher at Mulberry Elementary School, and she went on to teach at Woodward and Central Wilkes Middle School, and she taught in this county for a total of 34 years. So it definitely runs in our blood, and I think they are very proud that I have this opportunity to not only represent them, but to represent all educators of our community.
Talk about the schools you attended from kindergarten to Wilkes Central.
I started out at C.C. Wright Elementary, and I loved every teacher I had there. I loved school. I had perfect attendance.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I didn't want to miss a day, and I loved every teacher I had there. I learned so much from all my teachers there. And then I went on to Woodward Middle School and then to Wilkes Central High School. I had wonderful teachers that inspired me all along the way, and I would watch every move they made. I would try to be like them when I got home, and I would practice my teaching to be just like them. And I was just very blessed to get to go to all three of those wonderful schools here in Wilkes County.
You were honored to be a teaching fellow. Share with our folks listening and watching today about how does that work?
Well, the Teaching Fellow Scholarship is something for those students who are interested in choosing a career in education, and you have to commit to teaching for 4 years in North Carolina after you finish the program. So basically, it's a loan/scholarship that helps pay for you to go to college, and to pay back the loan, you give your time to North Carolina by teaching in North Carolina. And that's what I did. I went to Elon University. I received the scholarship to Elon, to their program. And after I was done, I came back to Wilkes County to fulfill my commitment of teaching in North Carolina.
Laura Brooks, share those summer enrichment programs that you were so fortunate to have at Elon.
Elon has a wonderful Teaching Fellows program, and so do there are 4 other schools or colleges right now in North Carolina that have it. But through Elon, I got the opportunity to do a history study tour up the east coast of the United States so that we could learn more about our background and our roots and what makes America what it is, so that we could share that experience with the students in our classrooms. I also got the opportunity to study abroad in London, England, and a part of that study abroad opportunity, I was a part of a teaching internship where I taught in a local London school. And then the final aspect of the whole Teaching Fellows program is that they give you the chance to study for a month in Washington, D.C., and to learn about how the political environment influences education. And I got the opportunity to meet with the current, well, it was in 2004, so it was the current Secretary of the Department of Education, to learn the impact that politics and education have on each other.
Wow.
So Elon provided lots of enriching opportunities to help make me ready for the classroom on day one.
Laura Brooks is the Wilkes County Teacher of the Year. Do you remember the process of qualifying and winning that scholarship?
The Teaching Fellows?
Yes, please.
Yes, you have to apply, and then you go through, if your application is selected, then you go through an interview process, and you select your top schools that you want to pick, and I think the top schools look at you, and they have the final say-so in who they're going to pick. Mm-hmm. And right now, currently, if there are any high school juniors or seniors looking to go into teaching, you can look at Elon's program. Meredith College has it, UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Charlotte, and NC State. So those are the 5 current North Carolina schools, and currently the Teaching Fellows program is only offered for people who want to go into special education or any of the STEM programs, so science, technology, engineering, or math, because those are the areas that North Carolina really needs teachers in.
Okay. And the opportunity to come back to Wilkes Central was there when you graduated from Elon. Tell us about, how does that feel?
Very surreal and very weird. I remember talking to my cooperating teacher at Elon. I said, "Where should I go teach? I don't know where I want to go." And she said, "Well, Laura, you're a math teacher. You can go anywhere. You could basically go and interview principals and decide where you want to go." And I thought, well, do I want to go to Wake County and follow all my friends? Do I want to stay in Elon where I had gotten really comfortable? And then I got a call from the principal at Wilkes Central, and he said, we're going to have an opening. And I thought, you know what, I want to go home, and I want to share with the students of Wilkes County all the great things, the ideas, the learning concepts that I've learned at Elon and in London, and I want to give back to the community that raised me and gave me so much, and I want to do that for the students of Wilkes Central. So I definitely said, yes, I'll be there. And
wow.
Started out 22 years old back at Wilkes Central, and now my former teachers were my colleagues. I could go in the teacher's lounge with them. It was kind of weird at first. I knew still a lot of the students because I had only been gone for 4 years, but I felt like it was a way I could give back to the community and to Wilkes Central.
Ms. Brooks, do you have a mentoring relationship with fellow teachers when you maybe have a challenge, or do you have a group that meets often? How does that work in a high school?
I would say we all lean on each other and support each other, but definitely in the math department, we rely on each other. Our math department chair is Ginger Bentley, and I go to her if I need anything. When I first came back to Wilkes Central, Nancy Wayne was my teacher mentor before she retired, and I could go to her with any question. And because both of them had also been my math teachers when I was in high school, I felt really comfortable getting their insights, their advice, and their help. And we all really just try to lean on each other and support each other, because every day is different. Every day a different student can pose a different challenge, and different teachers have different answers and different perspectives that can help you.
Tell us about math and the essence. Why do we have math, or why do we, a lot of it, or just talk about teaching math and what the advantages for youngsters who, and everybody has to take some of it. So tell us about math.
And that's the question my students ask me the most. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? And I would tell you, on a broader scheme of things, students don't know where life is going to take them. They don't know what job or career they're going to go into. So math is definitely preparing them if they choose to go into anything such as construction work, architect, engineering, anything in the medical field. Math is the basis behind everything. The patterns of numbers have got ships across the ocean to the United States. Okay, math has helped develop social networks and social media, the patterns in the coding that has created cell phones and Facebook and instant messaging and Twitter and Instagram. And students have no idea that if they stick with math and they really truly study it, they don't know if they will use it. They might become a pilot. They might become an engineer one day. So in the broad scheme of things, we all need a little bit of math. If you go into a career that never ever uses math, I think that my class is preparing you to problem solve, to think critically, to reason through things. And I think every employer would say, we don't need a bunch of kids that can come in and work for us that can do calculations. Calculators can do that, computers can do that, but we need students who can take on these jobs and can reason through things and think critically and problem solve. Every job needs good critical thinkers, and that's what I'm helping my students learn to do.
Ms. Brooks, share a day, it starts at, I guess, 8 o'clock, and was your schedule in a day at Wilkes Central?
It's very exciting. If it's a day that I have traffic duty, it starts at 7:15, directing the car line, and that happens every few weeks. I'll be outside directing traffic, getting the cars in, getting all the students in safely into school, and then our first block starts at 7:45.
Now, blocks, how long?
A block is around 90 minutes.
All right.
And I teach Math 2 first block, and then second block I have another Math 2 class right now. And then at Wilkes Central, we are fortunate to have a smart lunch period where students can come see their teachers of classes they're struggling in, and they can get extra tutoring. And then my third block is a time for me to plan and prepare for the next day's lessons, or to meet in professional learning communities with other teachers and colleagues in the school. And then fourth block, I have a Math 1 inclusion class. And the day wraps up with the students around 3:25, and then I usually stay till about 4:30 or 5, preparing and working on things to be ready for the next day.
Wow. Relationship building with youngsters, the importance of it, and you told me that how you just can't wait to get there every day, and to be in a good giving, caring attitude. So talk about, one time you said that somebody might be just having a difficult time, but when you're in relationships, you recognize these things. Talk about how you get to know youngsters.
Well, if you don't get to know them, you're not going to get anywhere with them. And I think relationships is the number one thing that every teacher needs to have down, a way to relate and to connect with every single student. And I was teaching math when I first started teaching, and I enjoyed it and I liked my students, but I thought, you know what, there's something missing here. And I decided I want to connect with them more. Math is such a black and white objective subject that I wasn't building the connections and the relationships that I wanted. So I decided to pursue a master's degree in counseling, because I felt like, you know what, there's a lot that could be learned. I had a minor in psychology, so I knew a little bit about counseling and I knew a little bit about how the brain works, but I thought, you know what, if I could really learn how to listen and get through to some of these students, then we could later work on the math. Because students right now are dealing with so many things, so many issues that we can't even begin to fathom. So I decided to pursue a master's degree in school counseling at Appalachian State University. And while I was doing that, I was collecting internship hours while I was teaching my math students. And I found, you know what, I loved going into school more and more each day. And it wasn't because of the math changing, it was because I was getting to know my students better. I was learning ways to for me to be quiet and to just let them talk and to listen and give them a space. I was learning how to say things that would make them want to interact with me. I was learning to connect with them about what was going on in their lives, whether it be something at home or just saying, you know what, you look like you just don't feel right today. And students would open up to me, and they know that they can open up to me. They know they can trust me. And once you make once you make that connection with a student, then you can start setting higher expectations, and they trust you, and they want to work harder for you because they know they matter. When students know they matter, they will do anything for you. My students know they matter, and that's why even when they don't want to do math, they do the math because they know that they have value and that this math, even if they're not going to go into a career in math, this math is going to help them get at least a high school diploma so that they can get a better job.
We hear the word, we'll have a teachers meeting today. Give us some idea of things that happen at a teachers. Does that mean every teacher at Wilkes Central will be together at one time?
Well, there's different types of teacher meetings. We call them professional learning communities now. And they happen, at least for Wilkes Central, we have 2 a week. So we have one every Tuesday during our planning with all the teachers who share that same planning with us.
Okay.
And this is a time for us to come together and to share ideas, look at new research about learning, to meet with our principals, to see what they expect from us in the classroom, and just to keep growing as professionals. And then for the math department and for all the other departments at Wilkes Central, we have another meeting or professional learning community once a week during our lunchtime, during the Smart Lunch. This is a chance to work together as a team to say, what's going well in your class? Or do you have a new strategy that might help a student in my math class? And we can talk more specifically.
So you might learn from an English teacher.
Yes, during your professional learning communities when you're with other teachers.
Wow.
And one teacher may have a way of connecting with one student better than another, and they could say, well, try this worked well. So we have those twice a week, and then we have faculty meetings for the entire faculty once a month where we meet and we learn about technology and new things to implement in the classroom.
Okay. Ms. Brooks, revisit this smart lunch concept again as far as the student. You said a person might get tutor, they might counsel, or just tell us a little bit more about, you said we're grateful to have a smart lunch. Tell us about a smart lunch.
So before Smart Lunch, if a student needed tutoring, they would have to make arrangements to get to school early before the school day started, or they would have to stay after school. Or if a student wanted to participate in a club or another activity that was sponsored by a teacher, they would have to find a ride and stay after school and have a parent pick them up. Smart Lunch allows these activities and these tutoring sessions to take place during the school day. So every day we have a block of time, 1 hour, and it's split into 2 sections of 30 minutes. And one section of the 30 minutes, students eat lunch, and the other 30 minutes they choose to go to tutoring or to go to a club or an extracurricular activity that's sponsored during that time.
Okay.
So students who want help or want to be involved, they can do it during the school day.
So we're student-driven.
Yes, definitely.
That's good. Tell us about your principal, and Scott Wall and I are good friends. He's somewhat of a newcomer in administration, and do you have a second assistant?
We have Miss Tina Johnson.
All right, tell us about those individuals.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic with, I still call him Coach Wall because he was my PE teacher when I was in elementary school at CC Wright.
Okay.
So I can remember looking up to him and loving him as a teacher. And then I came to Wilkes Central, and he became my colleague, and I enjoyed working alongside him. Well, now he's our assistant principal. Mm-hmm. And he, along with Tina Johnson, they take care of most of the student affairs from day to day. And then our principal is Dr. Stocks. And his chief goal right now is helping teachers and helping us be better teachers and implementing new research ideas and technology into the classroom.
And you also have some sponsorships, clubs and some things after school, or tell us about other activities that you have as a professional.
I think going along with what we spoke about earlier, relationships with students, to build these relationships and to really get to know your students, you have to dive all into a high school. You have to get to know students in all aspects, not just in academics. So immediately when I became a teacher at Wilkes Central, I took on the role of being in charge of the prom, the junior-senior prom. And I've really enjoyed that because it allows me to get to know the junior class who prepares the prom. And we pick out the decorations, we organize it, and then we actually go and decorate the Stone Center for the prom. And through that, I've gotten to know those students really well as I've gotten to work with people in our community who have helped contributed decorations, parents, businesses. So it's been a great opportunity to get to know the students outside of the classroom and get to see what they're really like in a different environment. And I've also gotten to give back to Wilkes Central to make sure there's a successful formal event every year. I was also the cheerleading coach for 10 years, and I enjoyed that aspect because I got to see all of the sporting events. I got to make sure I was at my students' football games, their basketball games. I got to help the cheerleaders and get to know them on a more personal level outside of the classroom. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to work with them for 10 years and just see the school in a different light. And then on a kind of different note, my husband is the chorus teacher at Wilkes Central, so as part of our family, I guess our family and school are kind of intertwined because I get to help him with his chorus concerts or with his musicals or when he takes the chorus on trips to different places. So I get to see his students and the students at our school that are really involved in the arts. Wow. So I enjoy diving in and being a part of everything that's going on at Wilkes Central, and I think it makes you love your students more and it makes you connect with them more. And if you do have an issue with them in the math classroom, you can fall back on, now I saw you at your basketball game, you were working really hard. I think you can work that hard in math class. You can make those connections in the classroom, and it really helps.
So we talk about the total student, after school, before school, and in school.
Definitely.
That we care about. Your husband has been a state champion golf coach, and how does the music, expand on that a little bit?
The fact that he's a chorus teacher.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting dynamic. When I first started dating him, he was even coaching football. And one of my friends said he's a chorus teacher and he coaches football and he does this and he does that. He's very well-rounded. It makes life at home very interesting. There's not a dull moment. But I get to be involved in athletics at Wilkes Central because of that. But I also get to be involved in the arts, and I've learned to really value and appreciate the arts. One of his students that I'd also had in class went off to college, and he came back one time and he said, "You know what, Miss Brooks? I used something that both your husband and you taught me." And I said, "What?" He said, "We were setting up a stage for one of the arts department's musicals." And he said, "We had to get the spotlights at just the right angle so that they would hit the actors at the correct angle at the correct time during the show." And he said, "You know what? We used trigonometry. I had to calculate the angles to set the spotlights on." And I just thought, you know what? We really are helping these students with something they will need in the future, even if they don't realize it right now.
You spoke earlier about coming back home, and get back to that for me, will you? What a gift to this community for a person with your encouragement and excitement and involvement, engagement, if you will, coming back to Wilkes Central.
It just felt like the right thing to do at the time. I mean, there were opportunities elsewhere. My friends were going to other places, but I thought, you know what? I had some really, really good teachers at all the schools in Wilkes County, and I could go back and I could help the students of Wilkes County just like my teachers helped me. And when I say help them, I want to make sure they're getting a good education, and I want to connect and relate to them. And because I grew up in Wilkes County, I know the places they're talking about. I know the things they do on the weekends or the places they go to hang out. So I can really connect and relate to them. I know what it's like to grow up in Wilkes County. But on the flip side, I've also been outside of Wilkes County, and I know that there's a big world out there. So throughout my lessons and throughout the semester when I teach students, I try to also tell them about the opportunities that there are out there. There are chances for them to study abroad. There are chances for them to get scholarships like the Teaching Fellows scholarships. There are chances for them to do anything they want to do. They can go anywhere. There's also the opportunity for them to come back and give back to Wilkes County, to this community that has helped grow them and make them who they are. So I want my students to know that they can be anything and anybody they want to be, whether that is right here in Wilkes County or it's somewhere else.
Ms. Laura Brooks, you're the Wilkes County Teacher of the Year, and what an honor to have you here. You do things at the Methodist Church in North Wilkesboro. Let's that well-rounded part of your life as a family. Tell us about that.
Well, that's an interesting aspect of my life that I didn't plan on, and things tend to happen that way, but I enjoy working with the youth there. We had been through a time at our church where they could not keep a youth minister. People kept coming and leaving, and I thought, I know those kids really well. I teach them at Wilkes Central, and I feel bad because they don't have anybody to help with their youth program. And I told David, I said, and David's my husband, I said, they need somebody to help them, and I really care about them. Well, someone overheard us talking about it, or it got out that we had even been discussing it, and someone said, why don't y'all come help with the youth? And so we have been helping with the youth for the past 2 years, and I just think that's another way to get to know students on a spiritual level, but to also inspire them to be mission-minded. We try to give back to the community through mission work, and we try to give back to the greater community. We are actually going on a mission trip this summer to Puerto Rico to help with hurricane disaster relief. So it's a great way for me to work with students outside of school on mission work, but also with their spirituality as well.
So you have 15 to 16 every Sunday night, and sometimes as many as 22. Wonderful. I'm so glad you're doing that too. And Puerto Rico, that requires some money, raising funds. Tell us how a group comes together to raise money to do a mission trip.
Well, the students that are going have worked really hard to raise money. They started earlier in the year. Just during the Apple Festival that was downtown, they took up donations and money if people parked at our church's parking lot, and that money went straight to help pay for their flights to Puerto Rico. We did a chili cook-off where some of the students and their families made their best recipe of chili, and people in the church could come by and taste it and vote on winners. And then most recently, we've done a flower sale for mothers in honor or in memory of mothers for Mother's Day. So all of these proceeds are helping pay for the flights. And then, of course, there have been generous people in the community who want to help these students go to Puerto Rico who have helped contribute as well.
Ms. Brooks, about your family, you have a young son who's a year, and his daycare, I thought that's very interesting. Talk about that.
I have an 18-month-old, yes. His name is Connor, and he is full of energy, and he goes to Playworks, which is the child care facility underneath Benton Hall downstairs. It is owned by Sharon Phillips, and he loves to go. He comes home sweaty and nasty, and I'm okay with that because I know he has played hard and worked hard and learned a lot each day. They do nature walks. They plant flowers outside. They do all kinds of really cool things, and he loves to go there. I think that it's important to recognize the teachers at a place like Playworks because that's where all of our children are getting their start.
Yes.
So he has some wonderful teachers there who keep him engaged and learning right now as young as he is.
Yeah. Ms. Brooks, I've had such an interesting time with you. I thank you very much for being here, and we want to remember that Wilkes Communications and River Street Productions are the reason that we have this opportunity to share with the community. Being a teacher, that fulfilling nature of it, go there for me.
Well, it's one of those things that I guess when I talked earlier about how I loved playing school in my own bedroom when I was little and I loved being the teacher, I loved it then, and now that I'm really doing it for real, I love it. And the reason I love it is because I love my students. And I think that if we are vulnerable and we step outside of our comfort zones and we reach out and love our students, that we will do anything for them. The student who maybe had a bad day yesterday and walked out of our class, if we're welcoming the following day and we sit down with them and say, I'm here for you, I want to help you no matter what's going on, they will turn around and they will want to do their work and they will want to become successful. If we let our students know that they matter, that they have value, that they can be anything they want to be, then they're going to go places. And I think that it's my job and it's every teacher's job to trust our students, to inspire them, to empower them so that they can thrive. And I think my students know that, and I hope they know that. And the students that I see, former students that I see at businesses or I run into at the grocery store, they're successful, they're thriving. And it's because they were given that opportunity. A teacher told them, you matter, you are valued, we love you, we will do anything for you, we will help you get to your goals. And I think that's the most rewarding job of being a teacher, and that's why I love going to school every day. I love getting to know such wonderful students in our community. Wilkes County has some really good
We're
students.
we're doing an incredible amount of good.
Mm-hmm.
Our school system is just top notch.
It is top-notch, definitely.
And Mark Bird's had a role in this. He's helped me with a lot of my guests, so we want to thank him and the school board and all of your fellow teachers and those who are custodians and those who are bus drivers and those who are in the lunchrooms. God's blessing us in awesome ways, and you did that today, and I want to thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much.
Just a real blessing to know
Thank
you.
you.
And let's do this again. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Was that
So
okay?
good, yeah. Oh, yeah.